As a bankruptcy firm, Mitchell, Cunningham, and Bowling realizes many people are worried about their finances. We're here to guide you through the next steps to restart your life with easy video appointments. New clients don't have to leave home to get information about becoming debt-free. Also, convenient in-office appointments are available at the low cost of $340 upfront for a Chapter 13. You can be on your way to being debt-free. Contact Mitchell, Cunningham, and Bowling today or visit our website at mcdebtfree.com. We are here to help you.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 5.
Not too shabby of a Friday if you handled those cold temperatures. Of course, that's the big story heading into our Friday evening, is just how long does that cold stick around for? I'm meteorologist Gabe. Welcome into Mississippi Live Weather at 5. We're continuing to track those cold conditions, but luckily a beautiful sky across North Mississippi. Another cold start heading into our Saturday morning, and that does mean some of our plans this evening need to be paired with a layer or two to stay on the warmer side. But beyond that forecast, we're talking as soon as Saturday afternoon. Temperatures are trending warmer, and then as we look at our weekend, of course, we can't look at it without tracking the college football playoff happening tonight. Alabama Crimson Tide taking on the Oklahoma Sooners, breaking down that forecast, as well as the Ole Miss Rebels coming up here at the 5 o'clock hour. Taking a look at the first 12 in the room-to-room weather center, 43 degrees by 6, but gradually declining as we get overnight. Already going to be close to freezing by midnight, and there we'll sit into our early morning hours on our Saturday. Breezy conditions, slightly, about 5 miles an hour, but not like last night where it sounded like the roof was coming on off of the house. At least it did at the Maynor household, so hope everyone strapped whatever needed to be strapped down on the porch, and everything is still in place as of this morning. But luckily, it's been a beautiful day, just a little bit on the colder side. As we take a look around the area, this is a great shot in Batesville. Love that cotton candy sky with those pinks, those blues, those purples. 45 degrees, but that dew point, much calmer atmosphere in place right now. 25 degrees. Winds have already shifted to a southerly direction, so that northerly breeze that brought this cold, dry air, it's not exactly making that much of an impact as we head into our Saturday forecast, and we will see that gradual wind shift, those gradual temperatures shift into that extended forecast. Caledonia, 49 degrees, getting those oranges on the horizon. That's a great shot there. This looking south there in Lowndes County, but if you have not gotten a chance to get outside and look at this sunset, you are definitely missing out. And temperatures, 49 degrees, I would argue, is pretty bearable, especially considering we were in the teens earlier this week. 52 degrees in Maben, still that beautiful sky out there, 2.21 degrees, so dry, almost an understatement with the forecast we're experiencing right now. So taking a look at Mississippi Live Weather Radar, nothing of note whenever we're talking about those current conditions. Looping this back over the last 12, you can see that there has not been a drop all day long, and that continues to be the case as we get into our Friday evening plans. So as we take a look across the area, still with that satellite imagery, some thin clouds possible. That's going to be those high-end cirrus clouds way high up in the atmosphere. Here on the ground, not exactly getting that blanket whatsoever, so still those clear skies in place, and we'll continue to be unaffected by anything in the sky as we head into those overnight plans. Now, water vapor imagery does a great job of showing this as well. If we expand things out, you can see that drier air still residing right over the top of us, but the more significant dry air still out there towards Georgia. We are getting a little bit of that moisture returning. This is a result of some of those isolated showers that will increase in coverage by Sunday, but in place right now, not exactly making too much of an impact as we saw with dew points just a moment ago. Let's go ahead and track surface analysis. And what do we see? Well, high pressure right over the top of the Magnolia State, giving us those dry conditions, and will continue to be in place as we head overnight into our Friday night. So tonight, tomorrow, not really tracking much of anything. This as that ridging pattern, that high pressure center remains right overhead, and that continues to be in place getting into our Saturday forecast. So there we get a look at that high pressure center, already shifting those winds because we know when the high is on the east side of our viewing area, those winds start to come a little bit more out of the south just because it does have this clockwise circulation to it. So we'll continue to see that take place as we get into our Friday night. But again, southerly winds not exactly bringing that moisture back as soon as we'd expect it to, so it is still going to remain mostly clear and dry for any of those plans. But by the time we get into our Saturday morning, getting a bit breezy there out of the south, and that's going to be those southerly winds about 5 to 10 miles an hour, and we can feel that as early as Saturday morning. So with some of those breezier areas, maybe dropping those feels like values a degree or two, but it is still going to be a cold start across North Mississippi. So layer up once again for any of those morning plans. Now, taking a look at the next 24, what are we tracking? Well, dry conditions all day long with those beautiful blue skies. I mean, again, I say, if you do not have plans for your Saturday, if you're not going over to Vaught Hemingway Stadium, it's going to be a beautiful forecast. So you need to figure out something to do outside to soak it all in. And if the morning is too cold for you, don't worry. You're in the Magnolia State, and Mother Nature here in the Magnolia State loves to flip-flop the forecast, and we're doing exactly that, starting at freezing, but by the afternoon, climbing all the way into the low 60s. We're going to continue to break down that warm forecast, how it'll impact maybe some college football plans, what things look like in Norman, Oklahoma for any of our Crimson Tide fans that are traveling out there or looking at those current conditions for their football team. We're also going to be talking the latest on rain chances for Sunday, breaking all of that down here on Mississippi Live Weather at 5, live from the Room to Room Weather Center in the next 60.
The number one reason insurance denies roof claims is not what you think. Insurance companies aren't denying your claim because you don't have damage. They're denying it because they don't have documentation. This is why we use drones, AI technology, satellite imagery, and just good old roofing experience to document everything that might be wrong with your roof. You as a homeowner need a roofer with documentation standards. Call Absolute Restoration. Let us come and inspect, document, and present.
Give the gift of a delicious burger from Bulldog Burger, a soup and sandwich from Sweet Pepper's Deli, appetizers and cocktails from The Grill, or even a wood-fired steak from Harvey's. Choice is the perfect gift. An all-in-one gift card from Eat With Us.
When choosing a dentist for our family, Tupelo Smiles was the answer for us. They greet us with warm smiles right when we walk in the door, and they make us feel so welcome. We love Tupelo Smiles.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
Welcome in here to the Room to Room Weather Center. Continue to look at a calmer forecast for our Friday after a busy Thursday evening. Getting a look there in the Alpine community, this is Mitzi submitting some of her rainfall totals. I love getting a good look at a rain gauge to really verify that what we're seeing aloft and those rates are reaching it all the way to the surface and lining up pretty well, about 1.3 inches there in Alpine and really surrounding areas as well, but not all the way into northwest Lee County. As we take a look there in Saltillo, this was our rain gauge at the house, and that is only about 0.3 inches. I know it's hard to tell, but there's that one, so whenever we bump it down, that's only 0.3 inches. Not a lot. So even though it was impactful for a brief period of time, it didn't really amount to much whenever we're talking about those rainfall accumulations. But that was only one of the select areas across North Mississippi. As we take a look at rainfall totals over the past 24 hours, you can definitely see some heavier sections there towards Columbus, Fulton, up around Prentiss County with 3/4 of an inch as well. And there are some isolated spots there. Marshall County, even down around Lafayette. If we keep building south, Chickasaw got a good bit. Oktibbeha County as well. That was our severe thunderstorm warning that went on through Oktibbeha County and Lowndes County. But either way, the rest of us, and not exactly a significant amount of moisture. So as we look, and this is the past 24 hours, as we look at that forecast from today, we haven't seen a drop. So those dry conditions have persisted no matter where you're at, and that's just a result of that high pressure system settling in. So our Mississippi Live Weather Radar not tracking a drop of rainfall, and that'll continue to be in place as we get into those Friday evening plans. Honestly, perfect timing because it allows us to get out and about and do whatever we want to do on a Friday night. Even if that is walking the dogs this evening, we know they still got to go outside. And how that forecast is shaping up is it will be dry, not having to worry about tracking mud in the house, but it is going to be cold. So have that jacket basically right beside the door so you can put it on, take the dogs out, and then be good to come back in the warm house. 40 degrees by 7, 36 by 9. If you're having to take them out late night, 11 o'clock, 34 degrees, and it is going to be cold, and those winds building through the night, so some wind chill factoring into that forecast as we get into the start of our Saturday. So what we're tracking right now is high pressure right overhead, keeping those dry conditions around. This is 7 p.m. on your Friday, and as you can see, a few of those cirrus clouds do try to linger in the forecast, but not going to be anything too significant across the Magnolia State. So clear conditions in place continue to remain in place as we get overnight and into the start of our Saturday, like we've been mentioning all throughout our 5 o'clock broadcast. But as we head out the door Saturday morning, you can see these southerly breezes working their way back into the forecast. Whenever those tails are a little bit elongated, then that's where you can see some of those stronger gusts. So windy conditions for the start of our Saturday morning, especially out there in the Delta and Arkansas. The rest of us, I would say relatively calm. But as we get into the start of our Saturday, the big thing, the big headline is going to be cold temperatures. Right around freezing for Amory, Tupelo, New Albany coming in 33, same thing Oxford and Water Valley, 35 Tunica, 36 Clarksdale, and 38 around Greenville. Now those temperatures will increase throughout the day. We'll take a look at that here in just a moment, but I did talk about wind chill, bumping it down a few degrees. Wouldn't be surprised if it felt like the upper 20s along the Alabama state line. Out west, making it feel a little bit more around freezing. So the entire area waking up to a cold start. But the later you wake up, and all the more reason to sleep in on a Saturday, the later you wake up, the warmer it'll be. Let's track that out. So dry conditions remain overhead, and that allows that sunshine to move in place, warming up our atmosphere, and that southerly wind also helping build those temperatures by the late morning and early afternoon. So that's why this will be a superb forecast. Maybe some breezy conditions like we were mentioning, about 5 to 10 miles an hour out of the south, but that's building in that warmer air, and that'll remain overhead by the time we get into our late morning on Saturday. Already experiencing that shift. So it's going to be another good forecast, and it actually gets even better because temperatures are going to be warmer than where things sit currently right now. Saturday afternoon, we know that we're trending closer to kickoff for the first round of the college football playoff. Our Ole Miss Rebels taking on the Tulane Green Wave and looking like a good forecast there. Slightly breezy once again. Not going to be as breezy as Norman, Oklahoma this evening. We'll take a look at that forecast in just a moment. But let's keep going with our Saturday forecast. Still with those dry conditions, wrapping up the day with that same sky coverage. Now you do see a cold front moving into the area. Potential of a few isolated showers popping up along that frontal boundary getting into our Sunday. We'll track that out here in just a moment. But let's just focus on the good on Saturday. And that is going to be those temperatures climbing into the afternoon into the low to potentially mid 60s with 66 Greenwood, 67 Belzona, 62 Tunica, New Albany, Tupelo, upper 50s there, Boonville, Corinth, and Iuka. But I do expect, the majority of the area to be in the low to mid 60s. So already trending warmer. If you were upset about that shift in the pattern for today, don't worry, we shift right back. So it's just that brief, I called it today like a cough of the forecast. You cough, it gets cold, and then the cough's done and you're back to warm. So futurecast into your Saturday evening, some light showers building into the area. Not an impossibility to get a sprinkle or two, but with how dry things are, I think this amount of coverage is a little bit of an overextent. I would expect some of these darker greens to be where we get that rainfall, and that's Hollandale, Chula, even there around Holmes County, working their way up towards Montgomery County as well. So building into those overnight hours, that front extends across the region. So the best chance for rainfall, and you will see a 20% on the 7-day, is going to be during the AM hours of our Sunday. So if you're sleeping in, once again, still waking up enough time for church. But if you're sleeping in just a bit, you'll miss those showers and won't impact your day whatsoever. But even if you do have to deal with those showers, it's going to be limited amounts of rainfall, not going to be anything too significant like what some areas saw yesterday. Sunday afternoon, northerly wind back into the forecast, and that'll dry things up at least for a bit by the time we get into those Sunday afternoon plans, and carrying that over into those evening hours. Again, the large batch of moisture going to remain further towards the south, but here in North Mississippi, dry as can be, and that'll continue to remain overhead, but that moisture will gradually climb overnight. And as we get into our Monday forecast, the chance for more showers, I'm seeing those build there, Jackson and Monroe, Louisiana. That'll work its way into North Mississippi by the time we get into our Monday. So keep those rain jackets around. May need it as you head about that morning commute come Monday morning. Now, high temperatures Sunday, they're still warm, and it is a step back due to that cold front, but hey, I'm not complaining about these whatsoever, lining up pretty well with our normals for this time of year. 58 Tupelo, Bruce, Houston, Starkville, 60 still showing up Columbus, Macon, Aliceville, and 61 Kosciuszko and Belzona. So it's shaping up to be a good forecast. It's a great forecast all the way around. Whenever we're talking about this weekend, all of that active weather has cleared out from yesterday. So SEC football forecast, Alabama traveling to Norman, Oklahoma to take on the Oklahoma Sooners. First play, 54 degrees, 51 by halftime, and 51 towards that final snap. Temperatures are not too bad, and a big reason why, look at those wind gusts, or should I say sustained winds. 17 miles an hour out of the south, so building in that warmer air, but those gusts could be in excess of 30 miles an hour. So we've been talking about it all week. Run game going to be essential for the Crimson Tide as well as the Sooners. So who has the better run game? We'll find out tonight in what should be a great matchup. Excited to see the outcome of that. And of course, we'll keep an eye on that as we head into that 10 o'clock broadcast as well. Our SEC football forecast for the local team, the local matchup, Tulane taking on the Ole Miss Rebels. First place, 62 degrees. Just soak that in. That's a great forecast for December. not just December, late December, might I add. And so the Ole Miss Rebels have definitely been blessed, as well as the Tulane Green Wave. Should be a great matchup there in Vaught-Hemingway Stadium. Halftime 61 degrees, and final snap, even with nighttime setting in, only going to be in the mid-50s. So hopefully for that post-game celebration, we're shaping up with some good temperatures, and those showers can hold off as long as possible so we can enjoy what we hope to be a win come Saturday evening. Now that, of course, 61 degrees Saturday, 58 Sunday. We'll keep those warm temperatures around 59 degrees on Monday. Moisture limiting how much we climb, but watch how we get into Tuesday and really the forecast beyond. 68 degrees Tuesday afternoon, 71 on Wednesday, and 72 on your Christmas day. So White Christmas? No, not in Mississippi. We have a warm Christmas, so shorts and a t-shirt probably going to be what we go to those Christmas Eve services in, because low temperatures are still just in the low to mid 50s. So that is just an absurdly warm forecast. I do want to note, if you want to know about the climatology here in North Mississippi, our normal high temperature is 55 degrees. Look at the low temperatures, 53, 54. So low temperatures on your Christmas Eve and Christmas Day are going to be nearly equivalent to our normal high temperature average for this time of year. Pretty wild, right? So that's the fun part about the forecast. Is it's just going to be a warm one, so make sure to enjoy it. But we do have an active weekend ahead, of course, highlighted by the college football playoff. Our Will Kohlmeyer joins us, talking the latest on that matchup, and of course, talking about Will's winners for any folks that are interested in who might come out on top in this weekend's matchups.
Welcome to Kohlmeyer's Corner, a Will's Winners edition. I continue my previews right outside Vaught-Hemingway Stadium, which will be the place to be this Saturday afternoon for the first ever college football playoff game in the Magnolia State, Ole Miss and Tulane. For the season so far, 35-6 record-wise for Will's Winners. And they're calling this game, of course, many of them, the biggest game in the history of college football here in the Magnolia State. Some are saying it's the biggest sporting event ever in Mississippi. But either way, it's going to be a heck of an atmosphere. The city of Oxford will be full. I mean full to the limit. A sellout crowd inside that stadium Saturday afternoon. And one of the reasons why Ole Miss is playing in this game is the play of quarterback Trinidad Chambliss. What a story he has been. The coaches around the league this week voted him the newcomer of the year in the SEC, and that was a no-brainer. Last year, Diego Pavia of Vandy won that award, and the first ever award handed out as the newcomer of the year, and he deserved that last year, and Chambliss definitely deserved that this year. Another reason why Ole Miss is playing in the college football playoff is the guy that hangs out with Chambliss in that backfield, of course, Kewan Lacey, the #1 overall scorer in the Southeastern Conference, depending on whatever position you're talking about. #1 in rushing touchdowns with 20. He's second in the league in rushing yards, and he's averaged 5 yards a carry with a long of 59 this year. And another stat that really jumped out to me. Okay, so he's got 258 carries. He's caught 25 passes. So he's touched the ball, 283 times? And guess how many times he's fumbled it? Once. And that time, they didn't even lose it. The Rebels recovered that fumble. So once he has it, he will guard and protect that football like no other. And Kewan Lacey and the Rebels getting ready for this one against Tulane. They beat Tulane by 5 touchdowns in this stadium back in September. It should be closer than that, but definitely go with Ole Miss to advance to the second round, and it'll be in the Sugar Bowl against Georgia. It'll be yet another rematch, just like their rematch this week with Tulane. Now, speaking of rematches, the Crimson Tide lost to Oklahoma in the regular season in Tuscaloosa, and it's a rematch of that game in the first round. It's an 8 versus 9, so it should be the best game of the weekend, and a lot of folks are expecting it, as well as I am. Crimson Tide 10-3. The Sooners playing at home. They are 10-2. Alabama is the slight favorite, and I'm leaning toward Alabama. Why? Well, remember in the first game in Tuscaloosa, Ole Miss turned the ball over 3 different times. That led to 17 Oklahoma points. They also gifted the Sooners a field goal missed late in the first half by Alabama, and I don't think the Crimson Tide are going to be that charitable this week. And I'm going to go with Alabama on the road over Oklahoma to advance to the second round, which will be a Rose Bowl battle on New Year's Day against the #1 overall seed, the undefeated Hoosiers of Indiana, that have been really, truly the story in college football nationally. But Ole Miss pretty close to that, being 11-1 and in the playoffs for the first time. So Ole Miss at home, Alabama on the road. My two picks this week on Will's Winners. But that's the story here in Oxford. We'll send it back to the studio.
And welcome back here to the Room to Room Weather Center. And a big thank you to Will for providing us insights there for the matchup with the Ole Miss Rebels as well as the Alabama Crimson Tide. Again, Alabama does kick off tonight. Ole Miss kicking off tomorrow. So we have an action-packed slate, and that begins just here in a couple of hours. College football playoff is here. Who would have guessed? Well, that's not the only exciting news. Yes, we have an exciting partnership here with Mississippi Live Weather and Cadence Bank Arena. You see it in my hands. It is a gift certificate for a ticket to go ice skating, and we are looking to partner with Cadence Bank Arena to give 4 tickets away to 4 lucky people here in North Mississippi. And of course, you do have to submit your submission, and the best way to do that, actually the way you get your submission in there, is by going on Matt Laubon's Facebook page, liking, sharing, and then commenting in the comments what you want for Christmas, and we will pick those lucky winners. Again, 4 of them come Monday evening here on the 6 o'clock broadcast for Mississippi Live Weather. So you want to stay tuned, but you want to get those submissions in, and we are just excited to partner with Cadence Bank Arena on this. We love going ice skating here, and they do a great job of putting that on. So if you want to get a free ticket to go ice skating, then that is how you do it. Go to the Facebook page today, and we'll, of course, show that off a little bit more coming up at the 6 o'clock broadcast. But wanted to fill you guys in, and you guys can get those early submissions in right away. But we hope that you guys do have a fantastic night. We're going to keep updated on that Christmas forecast coming up at the 6 o'clock hour, so you're not going to want to miss that. You did get a little bit of a hint, and that's going to be warmer weather. But what exactly will those skies look like? We'll be tracking that in every detail coming up on that 6 o'clock broadcast, and we will see you there. But go ahead and download that Mississippi Live Weather app, free and available today, both iOS and Android. Scan the QR codes on the bottom of your screen, and you'll be all set. But our next broadcast happening at 6 p.m. on your Friday evening, letting you know what to expect as you head out the door for any of those evening plans. Then we're back at 10 p.m. tonight, tracking the latest on those conditions and hopefully getting an update there from Norman, Oklahoma on who won the first matchup of the college football playoff. And don't forget, weekend shows 6 and 10 with meteorologist Caleb Edelblut. He'll be tracking the latest on those forecasts and those winners in the playoff coming up here on Mississippi Live Weather. You guys have a fantastic evening, and we'll see you back pretty shortly.
One in 10 kids vape. Each vape pod can contain the same amount of nicotine as a pack of cigarettes.
The health class film guy isn't the best person to talk to your kid about vaping.
Got a few minutes?
You are. Talk to your child about vaping today.
If you're a family of 4, 5,
or 6, 7,
Merry Christmas from Mississippi Live Weather.
That was good.
I think that was the one.
Okay.
There we go.
Oh, you guys didn't do it.
No, we didn't.